In February 1961, three rockhounds cracked open what looked like an ordinary geode in the California desert. Inside was something that shouldn't exist. A smooth porcelain cylinder wrapped around a thin metal shaft, sealed inside solid stone. Someone claimed a geologist had dated that stone at 500,000 years old. If that were true, this innocent-looking rock would rewrite everything we know about human history. The find happened near Olancha, California, a small town on the edge of the Mojave Desert. Wallace Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Mike Mikesell were out searching for geodes to sell and cut into jewelry, a common hobby in the region. Nothing about the day suggested they were about to stumble into one of the strangest artifact controversies of the 20th century. They simply picked up a rock that looked like all the others. When Mikesell tried to slice the rock open with his diamond-edged saw blade, the blade shattered instead. That alone was strange enough to make them stop and look closer. Inside the stone, they found a hollow, cylindrical object with a hardened metal core running through its center. Nothing about it resembled the crystal-lined interior of a normal geode. A closer look revealed a porcelain cylinder wrapped around a 2-millimeter shaft of bright, shiny metal. Later testing showed that the metal core was magnetic, an odd detail for something supposedly buried in rock for eons. The object had a manufactured, engineered look to it, unlike anything found in nature. It didn't take long for word of the strange find to spread. Soon after, a letter appeared in Desert Magazine claiming that a trained geologist had examined the rock and dated it at least 500,000 years old. The letter didn't name the geologist. It didn't explain how the dating was done. And it was never published in any scientific journal anywhere. Yet that single, unverified claim became the foundation of everything that followed. Here's why that claim mattered so much. Spark plugs, the kind used in combustion engines, weren't invented until the late 19th century. If this object really was 500,000 years old, it would mean an advanced technology existed on Earth long before humans were even believed to walk upright. That's not a minor historical footnote. That's a discovery that would upend science as we know it. Naturally, theories exploded. Some claimed it was proof of a lost advanced civilization like Atlantis wiped from history. Others insisted it was left behind by ancient astronauts visiting Earth in prehistoric times. A few even suggested it belonged to a time traveler who accidentally dropped it thousands of centuries in the past. The object became a magnet for every fringe theory imaginable. The story spread through pulp magazines, radio segments, and word-of-mouth legend. It became one of the most cited examples of what researchers call an out-of-place artifact, an object that seemingly doesn't belong in the era it was found. For decades, the Coso artifact sat at the center of debates between mainstream science and fringe archaeology. But one crucial question kept getting ignored. Who exactly was this geologist who supposedly dated the object? No name, no credentials, no lab report, no peer review. Decades passed, and not a single researcher could produce evidence that this dating ever happened at all. The entire 500,000-year claim rested on a single anonymous letter to a regional outdoor magazine. It wasn't until much later that serious investigators finally took a hard look at the object itself. Researchers Pierre Stromberg and Paul Heinrich decided to apply real forensic methods instead of folklore. They brought in X-ray imaging to see exactly what was hidden inside that stone shell, without ever having to break it open again. To help interpret what the X-rays showed, they enlisted members of the Spark Plug Collectors of America, a niche but highly knowledgeable community. What they found inside matched something remarkably ordinary. The shape, the porcelain insulator, and the internal structure were consistent with something anyone could recognize instantly once shown side by side. The verdict: it was a 1920s-era Champion spark plug, the exact kind widely used in Ford Model T and Model A engines. The president of the Spark Plug Collectors of America and other longtime collectors agreed with the identification. Not ancient, not alien, just an early 20th century car part, sitting in the desert for decades before it was mistaken for something extraordinary. But how did a car part end up looking like a fossilized ancient stone? The answer lies in basic chemistry, not centuries of geological time. Iron and steel objects rust rapidly underground, and that rust binds with surrounding minerals to form what's called a concretion. This natural process can happen in a matter of years or decades, not the hundreds of thousands of years originally claimed. For over 5 decades, the artifact stayed locked in mystery and speculation, its true identity confirmed by researchers but still disputed by believers. Then, in 2018, something changed. The family of one of the original discoverers reached out to Stromberg directly, offering access to physically examine the real object for the first time in years. This time, a geologist from the University of Washington's Earth and Space Science Department joined the inspection. Their conclusion matched the earlier findings exactly. This was a spark plug encased in a modern mineral concretion, nothing more. But one particular claim from 1961 still couldn't be verified, and it was the exact detail that had made the object famous in the first place. The original story claimed the object's surface showed fossil shells dating back 500,000 years. The University of Washington geologist found no evidence of any such fossils on the object at all. That single unverifiable detail is what launched the entire legend, and it appears to have simply never existed. It raises an uncomfortable question about the competence or the honesty of whoever made that original 1961 claim. So the artifact wasn't ancient, alien, or evidence of time travel. It was an early 20th century spark plug wrapped in natural rust and rock over a few decades. Yet the real mystery isn't the object itself anymore. It's who started the 500,000-year claim, and why nobody has ever been able to trace that story back to its source. Today, the Coso artifact resides at the Pacific Science Center in Seattle, part of an exhibition fittingly titled, "What is Reality?" It sits as a quiet reminder of how easily a simple, unverifiable claim can spiral into a 50-year legend. Similar mysteries, like the so-called London Hammer, continue to circulate today for the exact same reason: an extraordinary claim with no traceable source. The Coso artifact teaches us something bigger than spark plugs and rust. It shows how a single anonymous claim, repeated enough times, can outlive the facts that disprove it. So next time you hear about an impossible ancient discovery, ask the question investigators finally asked here: who actually said that, and can anyone prove it? If this story cracked open your curiosity, stick around. There are more mysteries waiting to be unraveled.